at QuranSpeaks.com.
And now, some of the most common questions we receive from you, our viewers. Brother Nadim, looking at the questions that we've been receiving recently, there are several that tend to recur, and of course we have to be selective, and I'm going to deal with some of the questions that you seem to have the expertise to handle best. One of the questions is about, it actually comes right out of what we discussed, in fact, about belief in the unseen. The Quran, right from the very start of the second chapter, describes the believers as those who believe in the unseen things. So some take that as meaning that this means putting blind faith or trust in things that we don't see. How does that gel with what you have said in this program?
Yes, because when it says believe in the unseen, this is a book for those who believe in the unseen, al-ghaib. The word for belief, as I mentioned, is iman, which is amana. And what the verse is saying is that this is a book for those who confirm, who verify the existence of that which is unseen. Then one may say, how can you verify that which is unseen? I mean, you see, we have oxygen, for example. We don't see oxygen. We don't have to visually see something to know it exists. We know it exists because of its effects. We know that we don't see gravity, but we know that it exists because of its effects. So there are many things that we know of.
So you're saying that believing in things that we do not see does not go contrary to the idea of science and verification?
No, because it's actually very rational, because you know that it exists because of its effects. There are some effects. You don't see it.
There may be some things that we believe in as Muslims, though we do not see the effects of them. Let's say our belief in angels, for example. Yeah. Is there any kind of scientific proof or anything that will lead us to the belief in angels?
Yeah, okay. As far as angels go, it's connected to the idea that the Quran is a revelation. And we know it's a revelation because if this were from other than God, you'd find many inconsistencies in it. So you prove that the Quran is the truth, because how could all that information be in the Quran? So now when the Quran talks of the fact that there are angels, you will believe in it, because it has proven itself in other areas. Mm-hmm. And then there are things which have to do with personal experiences, but those are personal, so they may...
So it's not a proof for others.
Yeah, it's a proof for yourself.
Yeah.
But then when the Quran says that there's a Jibreel who brings down revelation, we know it to be true because the Quran mentions it, and we accept the Quran because it has been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that the Quran is the truth using reason. So it's not a blind faith or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Seeing the time that we have remaining, there is one pressing question that people keep asking about. If we accept the theory of evolution, how does that affect our belief, as the Quran states, that God created Adam?
Well, this is my personal experience from my own research, and this can be, of course, refuted by Muslims if they want to. But what I've come to this conclusion that the word Adam has been used in two ways in the Quran. One is the actual person Adam. He did exist, and he was the first one to whom God communicated. And the other sense of Adam is that Adam as man in general. Because in the Quran, it's interesting, it says, we told the angels to bow down to... we created you from dust, and we told the angels to bow down to Adam. Why is it saying that? What it's saying there is that you are Adam in the sense of man. Like, for example, son of man. So when it says son of children of Adam, it's talking about humanity, and then in that case. So even with that kind of verse, it doesn't contradict this possibility that Adam was not... He was not the first man, but indeed he was the first person to whom God communicated, and with the story of Adam and Eve.
Okay, so one last question. I hope we have enough time. You'll have to be brief with the answer. But it's about the limitations in trying to find correlation between Quranic statements on the one hand and modern scientific discoveries on the other hand. The question especially becomes important because sometimes we observe people trying to do all kinds of strange things with Quranic verses. Somebody tries to calculate the speed of light and things like that. Are there some limitations, and is there a method that gives us some assurance that we're on solid ground in finding correlation between these two?
Yeah, there's nothing better than reason. Just try and figure out if something is a fact or not, first of all. And then look at the Quran and look at the language of the Quran, look at the context of the verse, connect the verses up, and come to a solid understanding of what the Quran is saying. Now, there may be cases where you don't know what the Quran is saying, because the Quran is like the universe, so you're not clear. Therefore, you cannot do a comparison.
Unfortunately, I have to leave it at that, folks. That's about all the time we have for this episode. But